When things go unchecked, they tend to fester. What happens when you have a person who goes without adequate treatment and refuses to change? Much like wounds left untreated, they only worsen over time. Who will they become later in their life? This is the story of that person, Andy Ditch.
Hey YouTube, Andy here. I have a challenge for everybody. If you want me to eat poop, I need you to subscribe to my channel, get me 1 million subscribers plus.
And I think I'm pooping myself, damn it. I'm pooping myself. You're officer, right?
Yes.
You can arrest me now. I killed 10 people, right? There's unclaimed murders. You can arrest me now.
I'm good. Hurt me anymore. Break this. Oh, I don't have it. I can't want to live anymore because you're pulling me.
Andy Ditch was born in 1985 to his parents Tom and Jeanette, being one of 3 siblings, his older brother Michael and his younger brother Joe. Growing up in Tonawanda, New York, Andy's early life was far from normal. From attending a special education school, which he struggled with, to making allegations that a family member was abusing him at home. In 1992, Andy was 7 when he was removed from the family's home and placed into a mental health facility. He would stay in this facility on and off until the age of 12. Around this time, it's alleged that Andy decided to do something to his father, and that was to poison his father with radiator coolant, pouring this mixture into his father's coffee. He would then go on to be hospitalized at a psychiatric hospital around 1999. This pattern of poisoning his father persisted. Allegedly, in 2000, Andy opted to include stool softeners in his father's coffee. Around 2003, Andy started working in McDonald's while still at school. Andy never graduated high school, walking out 2 weeks before graduation. It was during this commute to work in 2005 that he was hit by a car. Some people claim that this accident is what led Andy to become the person he is today. He began working his new job at Wendy's in 2009 and worked there until 2010. However, due to an injury sustained at work, he eventually left this job. He was later banned from returning to Wendy's, though the exact reason for this ban remains somewhat unclear. In 2013, Andy would start his own computer repair business with his own shirts, logo, and website. He would also go on to create a YouTube channel associated with this new business, uploading various videos, removing the majority of them. The 2 left up are how to set up a computer home wireless network and cleaning your PC. Both videos have Andrew acting pretty normal and seems quite knowledgeable about the subjects he's talking about, which is out of character for Andy. But from this time onwards, something changed in Andy, leading him to become the person he is today. From 2015 onwards, Andrew's life began to unravel. During this period, he became known for various incidents, including instances of urinating and defecating in his clothing.
Hey, I want to show you this. Pooping in my diaper. On purpose. Ooh, it feels so good. Ooh. I'm going to play with it a little bit.
Playing with the family dog's feces.
It's a smell I have trouble with.
Oh my God,
Tucker's poo is pretty good feeling most of the time.
I gotta go in.
Wearing diapers and soiling them without changing them. Repeatedly calling emergency services.
As a citizen, I don't want to be abused anymore, and the police refuses to do anything. I want out. I'm sorry that that's the way that you feel. How can 911 help you right now, sir?
Recording every second of his life. Frequent outbursts with his family
You're not
Throw
allowed
it
to-
out!
You're right.
I don't want it anymore!
Behave like
I
that.
don't want
We have
them
to do what we
anymore,
have to do.
please!
And constantly claiming to have autism despite medical professionals definitively proving otherwise. This isn't to say he doesn't have other issues, but it's definitive that Andy does not have autism, despite what he says. Andy would have one of his larger meltdowns in 2018. He would go on to assault his own mother and threaten her with a knife. This would result in Andrew being arrested. In 2019, while at home, under a protection order mandating that he control his outbursts or face eviction, Andrew experienced his most notorious year. From October to November, Andrew proceeded to add a cocktail of laxatives and Epsom salts to the family's coffee machine.
Police say 34-year-old Andrew Ditch put Epsom salts and laxatives in the food and the water reservoir of the family's coffee machine.
This would result in Andy being arrested and charged with a slew of felonies. Andrew's father believed that Andy had been poisoning the family for 6 months. He would continue being his usual nuisance self at home until his next big freakout. In March of 2020, Andy decided to buy an oil diffuser to help him relax. However, it didn't help that the Ditch home isn't the most pleasant smelling. Therefore, this diffuser could have exacerbated the issue with the home scent. After setting it up, his mother, who's on oxygen, asked if Andy would be able to shut it off, as the stench was overwhelming her and making it hard for her to breathe. This would culminate in the police being called to the residence.
Alright, well, I'll call my lieutenant and see if this fits harassment charges, and if
I'm not doing it,
it
to
does,
cause
then you
anyone
can go
to
to
get...
jail, all because your oil diffuser's on.
Of course, like always, Andy recorded the whole ordeal. Throughout 2020, Andy began staying at the Be Cozy Motel on and off. One day in April, presumably after becoming upset with the motel, Andy decided to smear feces all around his motel room. After this incident, he left the motel and returned home, likely due to the fact that Andy had just caused a lot of money in damages. Andy's fascination with feces isn't just limited to wiping it on the walls of motel rooms. There are numerous videos online that center around Andy and his fecal matter. However, prolonged exposure to feces poses significant health risks. Andy has developed several skin infections that are only worsening over time, as he continues to wear soiled diapers around his parents' house. He continued his usual antics in 2021, harassing emergency services, terrorizing his family, and simply being himself. Andy has a strange fixation with calling emergency services and crisis hotlines, as evident in a video he uploaded titled, "I want jail to get away, sorry to the police officers who are nice for being that way." When Andy misbehaves at home, his family typically tries to make him leave by playing a loud noise, such as a trumpet,
I don't want you in my ear!
a guitar,
You're hurting my ears.
or someone just making some sort of loud noise. This often elicits a negative response from Andy.
I don't want you to hurt my ears!
Subsequently, Andy usually exits the scene, although in the reference video, he opted to contact the police. Like all of these recorded conversations, they rarely yield anything substantial. Most of the time, it's just Andy rambling before the police, or whatever service he calls, leaves, hangs up, or arrests him. In 2022, Andy moved to Pittsburgh, but this stay did not last long, and he soon returned home to his parents' house. In 2023, Andy's mother, Jeanette, was hospitalized. Andy was not allowed to visit, as the hospital staff were concerned that he might harm his mother during her stay. Andy and his mother, much like most of the family, have a distorted relationship. Andy was hospitalized several times as a child for threatening to kill and assaulting his mother. As mentioned before, in 2018, Andy assaulted and threatened his mother, indicating that this has been an ongoing issue throughout his life. In 2023, Andy's behaviour escalated further when he decided to stalk a nurse, prompting the police to be called and escorting him away from the nurse's home. Throughout much of 2023, Andy continued to have major outbursts, such as banging his head and making concerning statements, like claiming he would perform outrageous acts for social media attention. He also engaged in inappropriate behaviour, including discussing diaper-related topics and creating disturbing scenarios with a speech app, as documented in a video.
YouTube, Andy Ditch here. Y'all going to have a shout out to Avas.
Hi, little girl. Do you like ice cream?
Yes, I do.
Let's play upstairs in bed.
Andy's story is still ongoing. Let's take a look at what Andy has been up to in 2024. This year has been much like the rest of Andy's life, except for his parents being hospitalized and no longer living at home. Now, it's just Joe and Andy. Some notable events in 2024 include Andy claiming he received unsolicited nude photos, which upset him, Andy becoming upset with doctors for not giving him the diagnoses he desires, and Andy allegedly serving a meal to the family that contained feces. It's hard to say what will happen to Andy in the coming years. We can only speculate. Personally, I foresee a grim outcome if Andy continues on his current path, either imprisonment or succumbing to the infections ravaging his body. Andy's narrative seems destined for failure, rather than success. His upbringing was far from ordinary, marked by hospitalizations, stints in mental health facilities, and heavy medication. He's a troubled individual who should steer clear of the internet and refrain from posting online. I do wonder what the change was from Andy in the early 2000s, when he was working and even at one point had his own business, to now, where Andy can't function on his own. I don't think it's Andy necessarily putting on an act, but it's definitely a sharp turn from where Andy was then to now. But what do you think about Andy? Where do you think he'll be in the next couple of years? What do you think the cause of the sharp change was? And once again, thanks for watching to the end of this video. Thanks again.